Well, we have been saying for quite some time that the Tories are on course for a colossal civil war. They have been digging trenches, they have been preparing their troops for battle, they've been marshalling their forces, building their war chests, preparing their openings, moves, and strategies, counting who's on whose side, who needs to be taken out first. Everything is there. The field is laid out, set. They are ready to go to war. And as we have said, it just takes a touch pin. Something will eventually just set them off. We saw this with sort of the downfall of Boris Johnson, the arguing that went on in a very, very damaging leadership contest between Truss and Sunak the first time around. We saw the fallout of Liz Truss, and now this is still there. The idea that this civil war has magically gone away, that it'll be all right. Oh no, all still there.
We're just waiting, waiting for Brave.
And they really are. They are waiting to see, I think, who makes the first move. Because not only have we got two big conferences coming up, we have got two big conferences coming up which are going to approach the future of the Conservative Party from two very different ways. You've got the Conservative Democratic Organization, which is making its pitch that the Tory Party isn't right-wing enough. It needs to be even more right-wing. Meanwhile, you've got another conference happening very soon, which is the National Conservative movement, which is really weird because it's mainly backed by a ton of Americans in an attempt to try and infiltrate sort of British politics. Certainly, its main aim is to sort of get rid of the NHS. Again, something we should be worrying about. But needs to say, this is two big conferences that are happening very, very soon, very, very this week. And Priti Patel has massively attacked Rishi Sunak, accusing him that he is managing the Tory party in a managed decline. He's presiding over the managed decline of the Tory party. That is very, very strong wording. And I have to worry, or I have to wonder, shall we say, not worry, if this is the opening salvo of a Tory civil war. Because this does certainly it certainly feels like it. So before we get into what went on in this conference, especially sort of Patel's comments, like I say, as always, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a official link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, well, buy me coffee. And of course, as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel that way. There is also the YouTube thank you button, and of course, the Pony Club as well. So let's go over to the newspaper who are covering this. So Priti Patel accuses Rishi Sunak of presiding over the managed decline of the Tory party. Rishi Sunak has been warned by leading Tories that he needs to offer more, quote, hope and optimism for a Conservative or risk presiding over a managed decline of a party and defeat at next year's general election. Home Secretary, or at least former Home Secretary Priti Patel, launched a veiled sweep at Rishi Sunak and other senior Conservatives following the loss of over 1,000 councillors at last week's local elections. She will be a keynote speaker at the inaugural conference on Saturday, which is being held today. So I wonder what other stuff is going to come from this as well. On Saturday, of the Conservative Democratic Organisation, a grassroots group set up by supporters of Boris Johnson. In her speech, Patel will criticise those in power and control in our party who rarely seem to be out there meeting people, including during the local election campaign. And she will add, as grassroots activists, we are the ones who are in touch with the people. Gee, Patel, woman of the people. That's hilarious for Priti Patel to be making this pitch. But do by all means feel free to make that, because it's hilarious. So perhaps if they spend more time with us, they would be more in touch with the people, with our values. The errors and mistakes made by a minority in Westminster have cost our party dearly across the country, and those whose seats were merely lost may be here today. Ms. Patel will claim that some Tory MPs have done a better job at damaging our party than the opposition, left-wing campaign groups, civil service blob, and our enemies in the media combined, adding that it took down a vote-winning political giant who was on course to secure a record-breaking fifth Conservative general election win for our party. No, Boris Johnson was not on course. If you have a look at Boris Johnson's poll numbers or the polling at the party at that time, Johnson was in absolute trouble. The idea that, even we had been saying at the time, the idea that they would have kept Johnson for a potential another run at a general election, given his disastrous polling numbers, oh no, absolutely no way. Johnson would not have lasted. No way whatsoever. So our members are angered about what has happened and the undermining of the bonds of trust between our membership and the leadership of the party. Never again should the grassroots of our party be sidelined, neglected, and ignored. The COD's chairman, David Campbell Bannerman, who said that the party faces a turning point as it risks the possibility of losing office to Labour, and claimed that Mr. Sunak had questions of his own legitimacy as he was not elected by party members. Miss Patel, told I that the conference's core theme was giving Tory members more of a say was very topical at a moment when we've lost over 1,000 councillors in the last week. None of them have been reached out to or had a mea culpa apology from the party, which is, again, very true. I said it in the last video we covered about Rishi Sunak. He's done nothing. And this has made a lot of people angry, nervous, and they are panicking. So the ex-cabinet minister will speak on behalf of the grassroots, being, quote, the backbone of the party. She added, the Conservative Party aside, the party in its current form, the Parliamentary Party, seems to want to manage the current status quo and manage decline. Tory MPs need to wake up. These are their foot soldiers, and they have shown nothing but contempt for our foot soldiers by ejecting two democratically elected leaders of our party, whatever you think of them. Here's the thing. Not only did the grassroots vote overwhelmingly for Boris Johnson, they voted overwhelmingly for Liz Truss, and Liz Truss was not the person that the MPs wanted. They wanted Rishi Sunak. And when it went to members, Liz Truss told them, the membership, what they wanted to hear. And unfortunately, what they wanted to hear was not sound economic advice. She then went on to do that and almost crashed the economy. Again, always worth bringing up when you talk about Liz Truss. She added that the Parliamentary Party so the former Home Secretary will also be discussing the hope and optimism of conservatism, because if we carry on with managed decline, there won't be a future for conservative values and beliefs. Well, who's been in charge for the past 13 years? Hasn't really worked out. We were far, far better off before David Cameron came into office under the coalition than we are now. And like I say, it's 13 years of Tory rule, and we've ended up here in very, very dire circumstances as a country. So the Parliamentary Party seems to want managed decline, but there's also a need for a battle of ideas. Ms. Patel insisted that the CDO is, quote, not a vehicle for bringing back Mr. Johnson back as leader, but she added that MPs are frightened of democratization of our party, and MPs do not want to be held account by the chairman of their association, that they have disagreed with their executives, their chairman, their associations. This conference is about changing that and trying to bring back the golden thread back from the grassroots upwards into our party. Mr. Cameron Bell also said, This is a turning point for the party. We've had 2 disastrous local election results. It is going to get right into the core value vote areas, which is very serious. The members not having a vote on Rishi Sunak is a major issue. It seems he's got shallow roots when it comes to the great storm that is coming. People are saying he's not legitimate. The members didn't vote for him, and there was not one. And of course, he was the one who brought Boris down. What about Well, I mean, it wasn't just him. There was Sajid Javid as well, who also brought him down. But there you go. The conference in Bournemouth will debate a 7-point plan for, quote, taking back control of the party to grassroots members, including calling for challenges to the way that leaders are elected, following the controversy over how Mr. Sunak was crowned last year following Liz Truss's downfall. And that happened. That precisely happened full well in the knowledge that Conservative MPs saw that previous leadership election as being absolutely shambolic, that pretty much almost really did kickstart a civil war, certainly, and that you put in Liz Truss, who was then an absolute disaster. And they did not want to go to another damaging potential leadership contest, having to spend potentially another a month, 6 weeks of this campaigning, which would damage the party even more. They wanted to get Sunak in as quickly as they possibly could. And to be honest, he hasn't turned out as the safe pair of hands he was sold as, which again, interesting to say that fact, but that's the case. And it was largely the point of the Conservative Party membership that voted in Liz Truss. So the CDO agenda will also vote on a call for the Tory chairman to be elected by members and for local constituencies to have more say over parliamentary candidates. That's something that, ironically, something that is very much echoed in the Labour Party as well, about having more control, having local constituencies, more control of the parliamentary candidates. I agree. If they want that, okay, fine, have that. That's great. I want that in the Labour Party as well. The rest of it, this is certainly kicking off a civil war, but we'll get back to that. So while these measures are not legally binding on the Conservative Party, senior DOC insiders hope that voters will send a message to CCHQ and Number 10 that a core selection of the grassroots are demanding change. Other speakers are going to include Jacob Rees-Mogg and Nadine Dorries, who served Mr. Johnson in cabinet. Dorries is understood to have given her ticket to the Eurovision final. She's given up her Eurovision final in Liverpool, which is the culture secretary she helped secure last year in order to speak at the conference. Oh, well, Eurovision's got a bit better, I suppose. I think it will be interesting what comes out of this conference. If Patel and Johnson, not only Rees-Mogg go hard, and it depends how hard they go after Sunak. I really do think we'll be seeing the beginnings of a Tory civil war. I think these could be very well be the openings. Now, is this more a to use, I don't know, American Civil War analogies, is this going to be the John Brown's raid, or is this going to be actually, the firing on Fort Sumter types of salvos? Are we going to see merely more the prelude to an eventual civil war, or are we actually going to see the proper first big salvos fired in a civil war that is going to rip this party to shreds? I suppose we'll find out very soon. But until then, I will be keeping an eye on this conference and see what sort of Patel and Mogg and even Dorries have to say about all this. Indeed, but as always, remember to hit the like and share button, of course. And of course, if you want to see more and hear about more of this nonsense that's going to go on in this conference, please do remember to click the subscribe button as well. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.